Hello YouTube, this is Marco. I'm your watch cardinal bringing you another video today, a video format video which has been a long time in the making, and that is an updated state of the collection video. So as you'll see, this is currently my 4-piece meal deal combo Hungabusta that I've got as my collection. So let's just jump right into it. Of course, I've got this beautiful Bosphorus leather watch roll that I just absolutely love. It clips so well, it's so sturdy, and the smell, above all, is what's really the best part. So moving into the first kind of piece, this obviously isn't in chronological order, but I'll just talk about a little bit about each piece for a little bit. This is my Rolex Submariner, obviously a recent acquisition. I acquired it earlier this year. It is just absolutely a phenomenal piece. If I had to say just a one and done piece, it would have to be the Rolex Submariner. It really is the icon for a reason. As you'll see, it's kind of stopped running. I just wanted to give it a bit of a rest because it's basically been on my wrist now since I got it and hasn't really left it whatsoever. But you know, this is just a fantastic watch. Obviously one of the most iconic divers. You know, there's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said. So yeah, this is a watch that I always wanted to add to the collection, and I'm so glad I did. So let's just give you a little bit more kind of detail and context. Why did I buy this watch? Obviously, as you well know, I was looking at a Rolex Explorer 1 potentially as a first watch purchase, but I ended up going with the Submariner. I just felt it was the better watch, and ultimately I just felt that it would have been the better choice in the long run. And you know what? I am so glad I did actually end up picking this watch, and the main reason is for this, the Glide Lock extension. Guys, I cannot sing the praises of the Glide Lock extension enough. It is just so good, so comfortable. You get a perfect fit every time. And I really do believe the Rolex bracelet should all have a glide lock system. And I'll take that even one step further and say every single watch should implement some form or fashion of this bracelet. I'm just going to give you guys a quick wish shot. So with the Rolex sub on the wrist, and to me, it's a perfect fit. You'll see it's a little bit loose. Obviously, the glide lock isn't perfectly adjusted, but to me, it really is just a perfect fit. I love the way it conforms to the wrist. The Oyster bracelet is absolutely fantastic. And again, I can't really say enough good things about this watch. It is just amazing. It's my first Rolex. It's a watch that I hopefully can keep with me for the rest of my life. But as you well know, I did recently just get another Rolex that I believe is the best watch Rolex makes. And ultimately, that one will definitely be with me for the rest of my life. What will I do with this one in the future? I mean, we'll see. You know, for now, I'm just enjoying it. I'm keeping it. I really do love this thing. I think it's a perfect one and done watch. It's the 40 mil Submariner, the 114060. And again, I just love this thing. It is just absolutely perfect. So I'm going to take this watch off and move on to the next piece. And that is my Panerai, my PAM 183. That's right, guys. As you well know, I do own a Panerai. Let me just take this out very comfortably. So I do own one Panerai, and yeah, I really love this piece. Just simple, elegant. It's on this beautiful dark brown strap. I think it makes it extremely elegant and perfect for formal occasions. I really like this onion style crown. It's got the wire lugs that are distinct from Panerai. Obviously, for those who don't know the story, the wire lugs were first implemented as a result of Panerai actually using vintage or old Rolex pocket watches and ultimately soldering on the lugs so that they couldn't be used by the Italian military. It's got this really nice Panerai pin buckle, as you'll see. Just going to undo this, give you a closer look. And one thing that I really like about this is it does have the running seconds. So as you may have seen Oshin from the Timeless Watch channel, he has the model where it doesn't have the running seconds, and I personally, not that I don't like it, it's just not the model that I prefer. I much prefer having a little bit of liveliness on the dial, and as you'll hear, the movement is just super crispy and crunchy. And you know, I really like that it's hand winding. You know, every day you're forced to interact with the watch. I think it makes this piece a little bit more special in that regard. And yeah, you know, I think something else that I love is the movement. It's just got a basic ETA movement, but that is finished, quite well. Let me get a close-up shot of that movement if I can. If it'll focus, there you go. It's actually really nicely decorated. It's got those blued screws. The bridges are done really well with those Geneva kind of waves. It's got perlage on the base plate, as you can see, and you get to see pretty much the whole movement, which is really nice. I really do like the work of it. But the best part is that it is an ETA movement, which means that it isn't that expensive to service. I recently got this watch serviced. It's actually currently running at +1, -1 second per day. So I'm getting actually a perfect timekeeping with this thing. Obviously, they did use a chronometer spec ETA movement in this, and ultimately, I'm super happy with the fact that it does have an ETA because it only costed me about $400 to service the movement. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I did have to replace a couple of components because they were obviously worn. But still, just a phenomenal price. I got this for 4,300 Canadian dollars. I think this is just an absolute steal, a real bargain. And a watch that listen, it has a lot of sentimental value. I thought about selling it. I thought about keeping it. And I think this one is really going to stick around. I think it's just a perfect versatile piece. It would be a perfect kind of weekend beater. And I think that this watch really is just iconic in so many respects. And that ETA movement is just really nice to have a display back and have a movement that isn't super expensive to service, which I feel is just fantastic. I'll give you guys a quick wrist shot. It is a little bit bigger than most watches, as you'll see, but because it doesn't have any kind of lugs, I find that it actually just fits on my wrist perfectly. As you'll see, the lugs just kind of float off the wrist, which is how watches I feel are ultimately meant to be worn. And with the wire lugs, it actually wears proportional to its case, which is about 45 millimeters. So again, this is the Panerai PAM 183. I really, really do enjoy this piece. And I think that, listen, I wouldn't tell you to add 12 Panerais. I'm not a Paneristo or Paneristi by any kind of stretch of the imagination, but I really do love the unique design of Panerai, and I think this is a great piece to have in the collection. So this is my PAM 183, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. Moving on to the next piece. Let me just put this back on the cushion. Perfect. Moving on to the next piece. My next piece is the watch that I've had with me the most. Oh, just talking about when I bought this. I bought this actually about 2 years ago now, so that's pretty cool to think about. It's actually one of the longest tenured watches in my collection. Second only to this watch right here. It's the Hamilton Ventura Elvis 80, or nicknamed by one Mr. 2, shout out to Mr. 2, as the pizza slice or the Star Trek logo by my man JJ LeCoute. And guys, I gotta tell you, this was a watch I really liked as a kid, but it's a watch that I've really fallen out of love with as of late. It really gets absolutely no wrist time. And that's not to say that it's a bad watch by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, I don't ever think I'm gonna choose it over a Panerai or over a Rolex. And that's only natural that as a collection evolves, you'll kind of want to get rid of your less expensive watches, or kind of the watches that you started out collecting in the first place. It's got a really great look to it. Obviously, the Ventura is an iconic model worn by Elvis himself. And this is to commemorate that, I believe, the 80th anniversary. It's covered in PVD, if I'm not mistaken. It's got this nice rubber strap. Got a pretty nice display back movement. I can't really complain for the price I paid ultimately. It is just a great watch. It's got that ETA, or modified ETA, I believe it's called the Powermatic 80 from Swatch Group. So 80-hour power reserve. It's got a nice kind of discrete date window. It is a beautiful watch, but it is a watch that is going to leave my collection. I just don't see myself ever wearing this. So I do think that in the very near future, I will be selling it. I mean, I have put it up for sale, so hopefully I can sell it shortly and ultimately use the funds maybe on something else coming in the future. So that's the Hamilton Ventura Elvis 80. I got this watch about 3 or so years ago, and yeah, unfortunately it is going to leave the collection because, it's just not a watch that I wear anymore, and not a watch that I don't believe will enjoy wearing or will ever choose over one of my other watches. And again, I think that's only natural given what I have in the collection. So let's move on to the last bad boy, which is the most recent purchase. I've had this now for a little over a week, and it is, I mean, bar none, my absolute favorite watch in the collection, and I think it's pretty obvious why. To me, the Rolex GMT is the best complication that Rolex makes. I think that a Speedy is a more iconic chronograph despite the movement obviously not being as good as the Rolex Daytona, inarguably, but I do believe that nobody makes a GMT quite like Rolex. So to me, the GMT Master 2 from Rolex really is the best watch that they make. And I was very lucky to have bought this from the man, the myth, the legend himself, MJT, who allowed me to purchase this off of him at retail price. So I'm extremely proud and grateful and humbled by all the support. And this is a watch that is extremely special to me because of the story behind it. This is the watch that the watch community bought for me. All the lovely subscribers here over at the Watch Cardinal ended up allowing me to get. Of course, they also allowed me to get my mom a trip to Italy, which is even more humbling and probably just as special, if not more special, than this watch right here. But I must admit, guys, I'm going to do a comparison video between the Oyster bracelet and the Jubilee. I must say, since owning this watch, there is nothing quite like the Jubilee bracelet. In my opinion, it is the best bracelet on the market. Now, I've had the opportunity to try on a lot of watches, and I must say it really is the most comfortable for a simple fact that the spaces in between the actual bracelet links actually allow the vent to get wristed, or the wrist to get vented very well, rather. And so that allows it to wear so comfortably. It's like you're not wearing a watch at all, but you still get that kind of reassuring heft from the watch head, which I think is just absolutely perfect. As you'll see, it's got the same lug-to-lug dimensions as my 114060 or the No Date Sub. So it does have a perfect kind of wrist presence for me. I think it's perfect size on my wrist. And yeah, I just really do love this watch. I've been wearing this now nonstop since I got it. And I don't plan on ever taking it off. It's a watch that I'll always have in my collection. It's a watch that I'm so humble and appreciative to own. And it's all because of you guys. It's you guys in the watch community. The one thing I will say that is a letdown is the bezel. So it doesn't have that kind of reassuring clickness, or that reassuring click that a Submariner bezel does. I mean, you guys just hear that. It just sounds so good, and it's so satisfying to do also, which I just love about the Submariner bezel. Whereas the GMT Master 2 doesn't unfortunately have that clicking sound, but it is still a nice bezel nonetheless. To me, blue is my favorite color. I love the blue GMT hand. I love the blue-black bezel. The Batman obviously was the first bicolored ceramic GMT bezel that Rolex did, so it came out before the actual Pepsi, except that it came out on the Oyster bracelet first. But I really do believe this is the nicest and the best watch that Rolex makes. It's the reason why I got this one over every other one, and it's a watch that will never leave my collection. I'm so proud to own this watch, and I'm so incredibly grateful to all the people watching this video and to all the people in this community that allowed me the opportunity to buy this watch. So to all of you guys, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it once again. Now, of course, I have to talk about a watch that I do have coming in, which is the Ming. I believe it's the 1709. I bought the blue version. I'll put a picture up on the screen, which I'm really excited to get. I think Ming does a lot of really nice stuff. They have a very distinct look to their watches, and I do really think bang per buck wise, it is a tremendous value. Are there better buys on the market? Of course, I'm not going to make that argument that there aren't, but I do believe it is a great watch for the price, and I am very, very excited to get it. So this is my collection. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't also talk about what else I would like to get. And, that is a bit of a difficult conversation because I'm so inspired by so many watches. I do love so many watches, especially from high horology brands and big name independents. And for me, I've really been looking at a couple that really struck my eye, which is the Vacheron Historiques 1942. I prefer the one with the blue accents. And I also I think probably the best bang per buck value on the watch market today is Breguet. In particular, I really like the Breguet 7337. And I think about my collection and I see the two Rolex and the PAM, and obviously there's one more spot to be filled. And I think about, a beautiful 4-watch collection, two Rolex, a PAM, and some kind of beautiful high horology brand, I think that really is a perfect collection. I wouldn't need anything else and I could just be done after that. So I don't know. Let's see what will happen in the very near future. This is just my state of the collection as of today. Lest we forget that I am getting this Ming in a couple months, so I am looking forward to receiving that and doing a review on the channel. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is my state of the collection as of May 2021. And let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for reaching the end of this video. And guys, my name is Marco. I'm your Watch Cardinal. And I'll see you guys in the next one.